Welcome back everybody. Today we're going to just be covering quickly off our previous trip down towards Wellington Dam. We actually covered more the Collie River side, so we went from Collie River. Instead of coming up through the Wellington Dam area, we went to Collie, then came through Collie across and then up through Mungalup Road and then Palmer Road into the Wellington area, and then we followed the Collie River itself. We stopped at Black Diamond Lake first and then moved into Collie River area and followed it along until we found the campsite we were looking for. Now, if you haven't already, I encourage you to subscribe to our videos. Lots of people we see that watch the video don't subscribe, so if you watch and you don't subscribe but you like it, I encourage you to do so. We do have a giveaway prize coming up soon when we hit 500 subscribers. We're not far away from that. Plus the big one when we hit 1,000, which I hope we do at some stage in the future. It helps us grow and helps support the channel. So if you like what we do and we continue to produce, and you want to be part of some of the stuff that's coming up as our giveaway, you need to be one of our subscribers. So we encourage you to help us continue our growth. Big thanks to our Patreons who continue their ongoing support to our channel and help us continue to create these videos, go on and these trips that we do and arrange not only to do these videos but for our group in general. So thank you to them, and if you're interested, link in the description. So anyway, this is the way we came in. That's the road, Mungalup area, so we came in through that section of it. So you can see a lot of, that's the route, the road section we come in at. Circle up the top, that's Black Diamond Lake area. You can see some of the pin markers up the top of interest. You might want to have a look at those in more detail. That's Black Diamond Lake. It's a nice little tiny lake cold section. We just poked our heads in really. So this is a close-up view, so we're zooming a little bit further in. That's Palmer Road, follows closely along to the Collie River. You can see there just briefly. This is the point you might want to pause and have a look at the Google Maps in detail. That's the V section there. That's very, very important. The marker is for the hill descent and the finger is where we camped at. The green arrow is the track that's the easier route down. Okay, let's get going into the actual track itself. So now going into Wellington Forest, there are a lot of different types of tracks. You go from easy gravel stuff, lots of different types of stuff, to beautiful pine trees, tall, to anything from tight tracks to steep tracks, to really rocky roads, to steep descents, to steep ascents, difficult sort of stuff to easy stuff. At the very beginning can be nice and easy going gravel that a normal car can travel along with no dramas. SUVs, I've even seen caravans go into some of the sections that are really close to Palmer Road and the Collie River that you can camp along very close to the entrance, where you have a lot of access to, and caravans, big caravans have been parked in there. I've even seen normal cars parked along a couple of those spots that are quite popular. So even if you don't have a four-wheel drive, you can get to a lot of those spots, but we're focused more on trying to get to the harder to reach spots, so that's where we're heading. So this is just to give you an idea of some of the terrain that you might encounter. So this is just some of the variety, and then coming up is really what we're focused on. So this is just a little bit of a preview because it's all the same. We travel quite a fair distance to get to where we want to go. This is a real important point, so pause here if you need to, but this V here and that little marker on the tree there, take note of that marker, because that marker with the little white and the cross in it, if you went left there like we did, that means that you're going down towards the hill descent that we're about to do, which is the challenging descent. If you go right, you end up on the easier track that is not too bad and is pretty good to get out of. Now I'll go into that one in a tiny bit more detail later, but let's concentrate on what we're seeing on the screen so I can explain this little hill descent. Plus it gives you a little bit of a context, because if you want to go down this hill, you'll now know what to expect going down it, and if you want to try it out for some fun, you can. Now you got to be careful, this vision doesn't always do this justice, but it is quite deep on those gutters, and you can get stuck. See, you can see there one of these with this, the trees on the right hand side, the gutters on the left. The placement of your vehicle tires can be really difficult. There are 1 or 2 turnaround points right near the beginning that give you the opportunities to turn around if you think that you can't do it, because those gutters, they can be misleading in this footage, but they are deep, and this hill is a lot steeper than it might look in this footage. It just doesn't do it justice in this, and I didn't have the camera and the time to actually take out and actually do it properly and show you how different vision was. But if you've got people like this, you can see here one of the members is out on the left hand side there and helping the guy show. He's right up against that tree on the right. He's missing the gutter there on the left hand side, and he's making sure his wheel placements are in good shape to get past that section, because the last thing you want to do is slip that tire, drop into that little gap, and end up damaging your vehicle. So wheel placement's important. So if you've got more than one person with you who are able to assist and you're not sure, get them out there to help. It's better be safe than sorry. I think this is one of your last turnaround points before you can't turn around, or it's very difficult to turn around. So you've got to sort of make those decisions before you continue. So sometimes, and I have done this on this same track, gotten out and checked. So like walk down a little bit further, see how bad it gets before I continued. So don't be afraid to do that either. So with this one, deep gutters, run your tyre. We ran our tyre, see where the arrow was, so your left hand tyre sat on one on that track there, and the right hand tyre sat in the middle. Sorry, that was a fly. So you're trying to make sure your tyre placement's correct. So if you know your vehicle and you know this track, and I know I did, so I had no dramas with it, but if you're not sure, particularly if you've got a bigger vehicle like some cars, you've got to be concerned and make sure. So don't be afraid to ask for that, or otherwise don't be concerned with getting out and just double checking. It's better to do that than to damage your car. So there are sections which are more difficult, particularly when the track thins out and you've got a tree like that on the right, and then you got a deep gutter on the left. So these are careful moments where you've just got to manage it. So choosing the right mode for your four-wheel drive is important. For low hill descent control, those sorts of things, if you have them, utilize them. That's my advice anyway. Make sure I'd load my tire pressures for this sort of stuff, so that if you're coming across really dangerous ground, rocky ground and stuff, you've got a little bit more traction, especially through some of the soft stuff as we get a bit further down. This is a little bit firmer up the top, but as we get further down, there's some softer sections. But and obviously lower tire pressures mean more traction, or more rubber on the road meaning more traction. So anyway, as you're coming through here, you can see you got to maneuver your vehicle through the right path lines to go over the big gullies or go through certain bump sections. So I've tried to include as much of the hill descent that contributes to the difficult bits. I've cut out bits and pieces that aren't the challenging portions and let most of it in. And then as you go down towards as we get closer to the actual bottom part of the actual track, it gets a little bit wetter, and it gets a little bit clay, muddy sort of context, so it gets slipperier, which only adds to the complexity to this. Now, like I mentioned, the camera doesn't do justice to how steep and difficult some of these sections are, so just bear that in mind. So as you can see here now, you can see we're coming through some mud puddles and some water. These aren't deep, these are just enough to wetten the section up, but it's enough to push a lot of this water down the hill, and that's why I'm saying it doesn't look like it's a hill, but it's enough to push a lot of this water. And this water started flowing as a result of the convoy that we had going down this hill. Started flowing down this track, and through the last hill descent, it caused a lot of that flowing to go. Well, he was good getting down through most of this section. This last section was where it was probably one of the more difficult portions of it, particularly through. I didn't notice until one of the lads told me when we were driving together later. This was one of his, I think it was his first experiences for driving in these type of conditions, and he did a fantastic job with the information. So it was fantastic to see. So with the right directions, you can do these sorts of achievements. So in this one, we had to stick high up on your left hand side, so you've got to put your wheel right up on that left hand and your right wheel in the middle because of those deep gullies, and then halfway there you can see you've got to slip up and change to your right hand side because of the change in the contour of that hill, and then travel down without slipping too much. So it was a little bit of a different hill. So you'll see as this car and unfortunately the last car that's filming this had to come down after about 6 or 7 cars, so he had the worst run of it. You can see how it's kind of slippery, unfortunately the sun gets in the way. Sort of flattens out just as we go past that tree. He's loving it. He comes past this tree, you can see a little bit of flatten out, so he has to try and cross up to get his wheel up to that right hand side and get his left hand wheel on that middle section, and he's on an angle which makes it even harder, and the back section has a tendency to drop and into the gully and slide. So it's something you just got to be cautious of, and especially in the wet it really has a tendency to slide. So but everyone did a fantastic job, got down to the bottom, and no car got damaged in that process. So fantastic. The only car that got damaged was mine when I went driving around like a lunatic at the after all this, when I went looking for the pathway that I wanted to find to get us out of here that I knew existed, I just for the life of me could not find it from a previous trip. So at this point we were looking for a camping spot that I knew existed, which was further along this track. So you can run along. Well done for everyone getting down there. I was thrilled. So further along, you can travel along the Collie River right next to it, all the way along towards where I had planned to go. And if you looked on Google Maps, or if you poured earlier, or if you look at the satellite view, you'll see a track that runs sort of parallel to the river itself. There is an actual track that runs up behind this. There are a lot of little side tracks that are very hard to see as you drive along, and then that actually take you to it. You might actually, if you look carefully on the vision, see one or two every now and again that take you to the left, to the right, and if I see one pop up, I'll mention it. I missed it as we did the U-turn and came back around and camped at the spot we eventually camped at, because there was a tree blocking our access to the spot I originally wanted, and I'm pretty sure it was the same tree that was there when we were originally there, but I missed the turn that was right there, and it wasn't until afterwards we found it when I was exploring it with the other member who was the one that pointed it out. So I was glad that he spotted it when he was with me, otherwise I would have just roared past it. So it does run parallel. The only trick, I think it was right there, you saw one there, if that was in time with the video. Anyway, so yeah, we went for an explore, so we actually ran parallel with the tracks. First I went one way towards the Wellington Dam itself, and then back towards Collie, and towards Wellington Dam was unsuccessful. We went back the other way, and we were more successful. I think we do a turnaround. This is the videos from the rear car, so all the other cars are in front, so they do the turnaround earlier. I think the arrow will point out, will actually indicate, the white arrow indicates that the turnaround was for, there was a track right there that we just missed, but would have taken us to the spot that comes up later. But yeah, there is that track that's running just parallel, but the only difficulty with that one is that there's quite a few logs that block the track at quite a few intervals that are behind there that we had to try and get around. So it was tight, very tight spacing. So the bigger cars would have had a lot of issues going through some of those tight spots. So I encourage you, if you wanted to go down there, to make sure if you're going to go down this same sort of area, if you wanted to explore here, try the easy track first, go down, double check you can get down there, then come out, and then maybe try the hard track if you wanted to do that for your own purposes to check it all out. But yeah, just be aware of that for your own sake, because there are a lot of tricky points to navigate around, a lot of mud holes during the wet season, a lot of rainfall through there can create difficulties, so just keep that in mind. But there are a lot of good fun down here for four driving, but good fishing for redfin trout through certain sections of here, especially when the river firms closes up, both along the Collie River. If you've got a kayak, you can get out into the middle, which is a little bit more successful, or further downstream down past Wellington Dam and Preston River, you can fish for it. So plenty of places to do that. A lot of sections here for camping, which is really fun. So we had a great time, and I really enjoyed our time down there. So you can see some of the spots. You can see the spot we camped at. You can see where we went and fished the next day, and some of the things that we saw. Unfortunately, I didn't catch much of the footage from the next day, but I appreciate it, and I thank everybody for coming along. You can see some of the stuff in the camping spot that I had previously intended just before. And I thank everyone for listening. I thank our Patreons for their support, and I thank Brett for his footage. And I'll catch you all guys on the next video, and I appreciate you listening. Thank you, everybody.